The John Anik and Kenny Florian podcast. John Anik and Kenny Florian.
I fucking love them. I can't get enough of them.
Let's hear that Boston next.
Big jab there from Duffy, and Frank Mir is hurt now. Down goes Duffy out cold. Frank Mir does it again. Rock'em sock'em robots here. Oh my goodness.
Hyperbole.
They're a couple of absolutely self-involved bullshit artists.
Here are your hosts, John Anik and Kenny Florian.
That's some bang.
Hey, look alive out there. We'll try not to be self-involved today because there's a lot to talk about, Kenny Florian, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I was like shocked by my shirt of how loud it is, but it is great to see you, man.
That shirt is an interesting tone. If you're audio only, today is going to maybe be the episode you go subscribe to the Anik and Florian podcast YouTube channel because it actually is the day upon which I'm going to show you my Kenny Florian action figure. Got to get this thing signed and see how much it's worth. Part of the reason I actually have this today, I didn't intend to show it top of show, but I went through some baseball cards and other memorabilia today because I met with my agent in Armonk, New York, and he told me about this card shop, and I have one card that if it was in mint condition, it would be worth $90,000, but it's like an 8.5, so it's worth like $238. I'm sure people want to know what card that is.
Yeah.
You'll have to stay tuned. We'll tell you what card it is. Top of the next hour on the Anik and Florian podcast. Thank you all for being here. Our favorite 13 episodes a year are the pay-per-view recaps, and we do reserve the right here on the Anik and Florian podcast to call them pay-per-views, even though we're on Paramount Plus, where you don't pay per view. Monday, April 13th, 2026, episode 591 of the Anik and Florian podcast, powered by All the Smoke Fight. Thank you for subscribing to the Anik and Florian podcast YouTube channel, All the Smoke Fight as well. Cub Swanson coming up in 5 minutes. Kevin Holland coming up in about an hour. Ray Longo, bottom of the hour. We'll see the mood he is in. And MMA Junkies Dan Tom to break down UFC Fight Night. Malott versus Burns. Kenny, when Mike Malott fights, never mind headlines, we cannot even get through the business without just leaning into that Boston twang proper Mike Malott.
Malott.
We'll try to get through that exercise without just making fools of ourselves, but a lot to get into today. And to that end, let's just get into some UFC 327 stuff if we could. Carlos Ulberg is an absolute warrior, tried and true, tested in his formative years in terms of circumstances in his life and the ability to stay present and fight through what we think is a torn ACL. I'm not a doctor. And produce that result. I know you can relate to that mental fortitude, but to do it in a championship setting on the only night potentially in which you get a championship opportunity, Black Jag, Carlos Ulberg, 10 wins in a row, your new undisputed UFC light heavyweight champion.
It was amazing. You know, the odds were stacked against him in a lot of different ways. And then, you know, every fighter's nightmare is you're in this spot to win a championship. And it's not necessarily the other guy who did something to you, but your body just fails randomly and you're down a leg. You kind of need both legs in order to perform no matter what the sport is. And he was able to battle back and land that patented counter left hook of his. And to do it in that spot and dealing with that amount of adversity was just insane. But I guess you could say he had a little bit of help from his opponent, Jiri Prochazka.
Well, let's talk about that because I did think that it was a great question from Joe Rogan, and we didn't necessarily as commentators talk about Jiri Prochazka potentially showing some mercy or at the very least getting put off by that moment in the injury, right? You'd probably have a little bit of grace for Jiri, Kenny, as a fellow fighter. Perhaps not because you showed no mercy. Kenny used to hit people after the fucking bell, as we remind you all the time. No, I'm just kidding. But perhaps, right, you could be given some grace for not handling that wayward circumstance perfectly, but I do think some of the analysts are falling on different sides, your contemporaries, as to how much mercy actually was shown and how much this was just Carlos Ulberg being an absolute fucking sniper.
Well, I think both can be true or somewhat true. I think that Ulberg was clearly trying to win that fight. He didn't have any mercy for himself, and I don't think Prochazka should have shown any mercy. You know, when you have that amount of experience and you've had a lot of great opponents, and when you've trained that hard for that kind of opportunity, you have to know that certain things are going to happen. Now, if the roles were reversed and it happened to Prochazka, I don't think Ulberg would have showed that level of mercy. So as a fighter, you can't do that. You've worked so hard to be in that spot. Why would you take your foot off the gas? That's when you have to finish, and finish with intelligence. And I think he was moving forward, trying to destroy his good leg. It was that back leg that seemed to be compromised. And, it seemed like Prochazka was kind of confused by the whole issue. Now, he has been accused of keeping those hands low. He did it against Pereira. He did it against Ulberg. To your point, how much of it was Prochazka maybe showing mercy, or how much was that just Ulberg finding a vulnerability in Prochazka's defense? I think maybe Ulberg deserves more credit for that, for sure.
A lot of people talk about Ulberg and his decision to turn down the Bachelor New Zealand twice. It's because he's an absolute Anzac fucking warrior with an undeniable fighting spirit, a plus athlete in every sense that easily could have been a National Rugby League star, couldn't get fights as a boxer, so he went to kickboxing. I mean, the only time I've ever worked Dana White's Contender Series, November 4th, 2020, he fought on that show, right? And lost his UFC debut to Kennedy Nzechukwu. The bonus allowed him to lean into developmental time. He's reeled off 10 straight wins. I have so much respect for what he was able to do this weekend and how much he wanted this and pursued this. Man, I just think this is really a win that needs to be celebrated. And I don't know how many athletes would have been able to, A, fight through that adversity, and B, produce that weapon to finish the fight. Because the longer this went potentially just to the stool, this thing could have been over.
Yeah, for sure. Stoicism can be a superpower, and Ulberg's ability to stay composed in that very difficult predicament allowed him to win, whereas Prochazka really did not. So much of this game is mental, and we saw a vast contrast in that main event.
All right, now joining us, one of the biggest stars from UFC 327. You want to talk about the ultimate capstone to a UFC career. I'm not sure it'll ever be done any better than this. Representing Bloodline Combat Sports. Hey, Cub, where can we buy the merchandise? We'll be wearing it loud and proud on the Anik and Florian podcast. Cub Swanson with a huge win to go out this weekend. Cub, it's great to have you, buddy. How we doing? Well, we saw him for a minute.
Yeah.
And it just went flat. How about that? Is my voice that off-putting? All right, we'll try to get Cub Swanson back on the program. But Bloodline Combat Sports, by the way, Kenny, I don't know if you heard on the broadcast. Actually, I don't even know if we got to this detail. No, we didn't. We didn't, because he took care of business so expeditiously against Nate the Train Landwehr. But Bloodline Combat Sports, they bought an abandoned swimming center. And so his gym, it's built on a pool. And for whatever reason, and Cub could probably explain it here, they didn't fill the pool with concrete. They filled it with mats. And so it's sort of a neat concept that it's actually built on a swimming pool. But let's lean into Cub a little bit as we try to get him back. So it was interesting in our fighter meeting, just in terms of the fight itself for Cub, because Nate Landwehr, 37 years old, had lost 2 in a row, just as it looked like he was maybe sort of going to ascend towards the rankings. It looks like we have Cub Swanson back. You with us, Cub?
Yeah, sorry about that. One of my
it's all good, my man.
Called me and it dropped the whole thing.
So congratulations, bro. So we were sort of talking about Bloodline Combat Sports and the gym, and how you filled the pool with mats while we were waiting for you. So I guess, could you just fill us in on that real quickly before we celebrate the win?
Yeah, so we were looking for a building and something with a parking lot, something with some bathrooms. And we were able to find this swim school. This guy had it for a long time, and he was looking to get out. And so originally we were just going to fill the pool, level it, and do like a regular training area. But the more that we tried to play around with the idea of how things would fit, it just like, well, what if we dropped the mats in the pool and made it a fight pit and kind of, that'd be super unique. And it was a pretty crazy idea, but it just kept making sense. And yeah, so we were able to pull it off, and it was extremely difficult, but we have 50 feet by 30 feet. And yeah, it's beautiful right now.
Bloodline Combat Sports is off and running, and I know it brings you to tears to be able to sort of rep your new school in your final UFC fight. I was also saying you didn't give us time to talk about the fucking pool on the broadcast because you got Nate the Train Landwehr out of there inside of a round. So a lot of the stuff on my fighter card ends up on the cutting room floor. But you did say humbly and respectfully in our fighter meeting that you thought he was declining, and we've all said repeatedly it doesn't really look like you have lost a step. So I guess relative to your expectations going in, were you expecting to end things as swiftly as you did?
No, I wasn't expecting to end things as swiftly, but it's just weird. I didn't have the greatest training camp. It was just with all my my experience, I kind of kept it just going, and it's been weird these last couple of fights. Every coach that I have and all my training partners, they're worried. You know, they're like, "Are you good?" And I have to tell them, "Just give me a minute." And I literally have to go down the line and help each one of them feel good about me doing the fight, because the narrative is that I'm old and I don't got it anymore. So
yeah.
It's just funny how that works out. But this one was a little bit tougher, and but I got through it. And then the crazy thing is I woke up not feeling too great. I think I'm battling a little bit of an ear infection. I tend to get them because I've had fractures in my face, and so I tend to get ear infections a lot. And so I wasn't feeling that great yesterday morning, and I didn't tell my corner. I was just like, I'm just gonna take it easy. And honestly, I think that was a blessing in disguise because it made me like super focused and warm up really chill. And I was just I knew that I was in shape, and I knew that if I just performed from the beginning, that I'd go off. And I really didn't expect a performance that good, but I'm not mad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody noticed at all. I mean, that was one of your best performances, man. Is there something that you kind of have understood about yourself that allows you to go out there and perform like you did in that final fight?
Yeah, I think, kind of letting go of trying to impress people and trying to, worry about the outcome as much. I struggled for a while with a sports psychologist I worked with, kept telling me that the result of the fight is out of my control. I can only control my performance. And I was like, most coaches are like, it's in your hands, it's in your control, and that you really don't know, because you don't know what the other side is going to bring. You can only react to it. So all I can do is focus on my own, what I'm bringing to the table. So I think that I knew I was expecting the best version of Nate, but I knew there was a possibility. Hey, maybe he's older and he's not going to perform as well. But I had to prepare for the craziest version of him. And yeah, like I said, backstage it was super chill. I told my corners I didn't want to warm up too hard because I was like a little bit. I had like phlegm in my throat and my ear had a little pressure. So.
Wow.
But yeah, it all worked out.
And Cub, what do you think is the biggest adjustment you've made late in your career that's made the biggest difference?
The way we spar at my gym, everyone trips out, and I forget to tell people sometimes, but we don't. I don't have a timer. I don't have a bell. So we start training. Training kind of starts organically. It ends organically. It's like a 2-hour window, and we just start going. And because the way I see it is everybody's on a different place. Like if you just fought and you're coming back into the gym to help somebody, you don't want to do an hour and a half like ridiculous class. You're there to help your training partner. So you got like 30, 40 minutes of hard work that you're willing to give when somebody who's peaking for a fight probably has an hour 45 that they want to go.
Right.
So it's just everyone's in a different place. So why have one standard for everybody? Anyways, we spar long rounds and we play spar, and we try to pick up the speed. But the thing is my rules are like, you have to trust your training partner. So that way there's no ego involved. It's not like I have to win this round. It's like, okay, I know that in the fight, I'm going to be in these positions. I'm going to give up my back, or I'm going to get taken down so I can work back up. And so when you can only do that with people you trust, because they're not going to take advantage of the situation. And when there's egos involved in the gym, it's like everyone has to work their A game all the time, or you're going to go home with a headache. So that's just
smart.
Long term, that doesn't develop skills. And
That's
so
smart.
I go with very difficult guys sometimes, and then I pick on the amateurs. And when I go with the amateurs, I try to, like, they shouldn't be hitting me, and I'm moving my head and I'm trying to outclass them, but I don't hurt them. And if I accidentally catch them too, good, and they get overwhelmed, you let them fire back. You got to keep building the amateurs up, So there's a lot of little rules of taking care of each other that we do in our gym, and it just keeps it fun. We work hard, but we have fun. And it's like no one's ever going to the gym stressed out.
Yeah.
And so, I really think it's the vibe of our gym.
Yeah. Easier to do that in California than in some places across the United States of America. Cub Swanson with us here live on the Anik and Florian podcast. So Kenny Florian played college soccer at BC in Massachusetts. You played 1 year of college soccer. Is that right, Cub?
Yeah. I played in junior college because I had just gotten out of juvenile hall. I had messed up a lot of my chances. I was actually on the ODP program when I was a freshman in high school, and I ended up breaking my leg like Anderson Silva did in high school. And I snapped my shin across in both bones, and so that took me out. And then I started not to have grades and stuff like that. So by the time I got out of juvenile hall, I was able to play 1 year of college soccer, and I was only 17, but I was starting forward. And that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Well,
Soccer players are the toughest athletes, John. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, of
Yes.
course.
Right, Cub?
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. People, the flopping is what got us in trouble. But let me tell you, people kick at your ankles, people slide at your legs. It is a dangerous game.
For sure.
So when I think about all the different questions we could ask you, certainly I'm curious to hear you talk about what maybe was your greatest night as an MMA athlete, and when your kids, I guess, obviously they all got to enjoy this moment, but when they are a little bit older, I'm curious, what's the fight, right? Like they say, what's the fight if you were single that you would show, the hopeful girlfriend, right? Like, what's the moment in a career that had 31 wins and so many damn moments?
Awesome.
Well, what I'm always telling people is every fight is a different story, and I'm very proud of the ones that I doubted myself or I had to come back from something. The Pineda fight, I was coming off of it was during COVID, and I was coming off of a year of rehabbing and trying to take care of babies while I was on crutches. That was difficult. Obviously, one of my WEC fights, I went into the fight with a broken hand and broke my other hand in the second round and still won. Super proud of that. Because that took a lot. And then the Duo Choi fight got me into the Hall of Fame, and I found out I was going to be a dad that night.
Right.
That's probably the greatest night of my life. But I will have to say that this fight is up there.
Yeah.
It was always important for me to have my kids at this fight because, like I said, my dad passed when I was really young. I remember people always told me stories about him, and I always was like, okay, well, it's a weird thing because I didn't know him, So I'd hear stories about this person that I didn't know. And so for my kids, I didn't want them growing up hearing stories about me and never having experienced them themselves. And so I really wanted them to come to this fight. Didn't expect they'd be sitting with the president watching my fight. That's pretty wild.
Dude, and you
So-
painted a masterpiece too. So,
But bro, like I'm watching your eyes, right? And because you're in the red corner, I can watch your eyes the whole time. And I said it, I think, on the broadcast, like it seemed like you kind of had to go out of your way. You did acknowledge them maybe at one point with eye contact, but for the most part, it was like, my gosh, man, they're there with the president of the United States of America and anyone who had followed you during fight week, right? And, you know, that's the trigger, right? When people ask you about your kids, it's a lot of emotion.
Yeah. And, you know, and that's the funny thing is, like, I've always been an emotional person growing up. That's why I got my brothers, you know, used to beat on me a little bit because we used to roughhouse like crazy, but I was the youngest, and then I'd cry and they'd beat me up more for crying. So that kind of became an obsession for me to get tougher, especially when my living situation got tougher as a kid. So putting down that killer Cub mask was always like a defensive mechanism. So later in my career, it's like of years of bottling it up. It's like, man, it's hard. It's hard not to let it out sometimes. But
Well,
But as far as what you're saying, I didn't get to see my kids even sitting there. I didn't notice them. And I was so focused on the fight. I was pretty locked in, and my eyes were on. That was what I kept telling my corner to remind me. Eyes needed to be on and master distance. And that was like my mantra.
So what are you going to enjoy most about not being a pro fighter?
That stress that we carry 24/7, that weight on your shoulders of somebody always trying to take you out. That you know how those ranked, you know, top 30, 40 in the world for 2 decades, you know, and that just, it's a heavy cross to bear, and so I'll find peace and helping these guys get through it and telling them, back in my day we used to do this and this, and you know, I get to do the grandpa stories now, so I'm good with that.
Well, dude, enjoy your family, man. We appreciate a quarter of an hour. I have to say the highlight of the weekend for me was getting a picture with your son, Saint and King. And were it not for Kenda doing that, I would not have my highest performing Instagram photo of all fucking time. So, but no, dude,
boys.
Yes, boys. I mean, there it is. Whole family's there.
That's awesome.
Great to see you guys.
We were just having breakfast.
Amazing. Well, enjoy yourself, my man. We're going to celebrate your win on the other side. Thank you for a few minutes. And, dude, don't be a stranger. That desk analyst would be a good look on you, man. Like, I do think analytically you got a lot to add, too. So I know you're coaching, but we hope to see you on the desk as well.
I'm always available. All right.
My man.
I appreciate
Thank
you
you,
guys'
Cub.
time.
Congratulations, Cub.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a good day. There he is, Killer Cub Swanson, with us on the Anik and Florian podcast. I'm going to design my own t-shirt because I know they won't do this. I'm going to go with that knife emoji and then the bear emoji and Bloodline Combat Sports. Killer Cub Swanson.
That picture with the twins was awesome, by the way. So that's really cool.
It's interesting being an identical twin. And as I get older, I look more like my identical twin brother, Jason, and he's a sports broadcaster now, right? So it's a weird thing because people haven't seen identical twins a lot in their lifetime, right? So I would ask you, Kenny, what has your experience been like? How many sets of identical twins have you known or have been in your life at all?
Yeah, so I remember growing up with Joey and Ricky.
Yes,
they were twins right down the street, and we used to ride around, terrorize the neighborhood together. So that was kind of normalized. But then again, like I have a shooting buddy. I had no idea he had an identical twin, and it freaks me out. Like I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah, it's weird.
The same. Yeah, it's crazy to see. So yeah, it fascinates me, man.
It's a weird thing, right? I was going to Dirty Boxing to support Jay on Friday night because Dirty Boxing did a show in Miami.
Yeah.
And one of the guys on the crew, God love him, he starts like rushing me through. The VIP area was backed up, right? Joaquin Buckley, New Manson was out there. Kevin Holland, who was fighting the next night, was there. And So the VIP area was a little backed up, and I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to get in the way of any of these fighters, but somebody on the crew thought I was Jason, who was commentating the goddamn event. So he's like, we got to get you inside, man. Get a headset on you. It's like, no, I'm not him, and some fans
that's awesome.
Like, what is going on? This bizarro world. Kevin Holland, what a gentleman, though. What a gentleman, trying to get me in, and hopefully he'll join us here in about 42 minutes. But congratulations to Cub Swanson and the late Duke Rufus, and our good friend Ray Longo were suggestive to Cub that he still had it after the Billy Quarantello win, and he stayed with it for one more, and man, did he reap the benefits, and got some good up-and-coming talent in Bloodline Combat Sports. So we congratulate Killer Cub Swanson. Back to Carlos Ulberg and Jiri Prochazka. What a moment for Carlos Ulberg and Eugene Behrman and City Kickboxing, and interesting to see some people wonder aloud why Israel Adesanya, who is ubiquitously beloved and regarded as a great teammate, hasn't maybe publicly congratulated Carlos Ulberg. I guess that's much ado about nothing, but Kenny, fighting through an injury like that to win a championship is something that's going to be remembered forever. And at least in terms of the championship call, it does itself, and new undisputed UFC light heavyweight champion Carlos Ulberg gets it done on one leg, right? It's like that simple. Like he got it done on one leg in I don't know how much time was that. So it was the 3:45 mark. So he basically had 75 seconds left to get this done, essentially, because maybe a doctor would have intervened.
Yeah, and him talking about how his corner probably would have stopped it if they knew what was going on with his leg. And, it's those kind of moments that give you so much trust in yourself moving forward. So I think this is something that's going to strengthen Carlos Ulberg's resolve, his determination, and everything. It's going to raise his confidence. And I think his team is going to think that about him as well. But, you talked about Izzy and all that stuff, some people have kind of talked about perhaps the demise a little bit of City Kickboxing, but, we can't forget that experience is absolutely huge. And having been there before and having been in so many big fights, I mean, Carlos Ulberg was going to be a problem regardless. And of course, he brought his own talent and his own composure in that. But, being in those kind of moments and knowing what to look for as far as vulnerabilities and how to perform in those big spots, City Kickboxing got a huge win on Saturday night.
No, you put that well. And all those coaches, Mike Angove and Tristram and Eugene, they're really so dedicated and so good. And that Anzac Warrior fighting spirit, Kenny, I mean, they all really seem to have that. And Jiri Prochazka, of course, has that, right? And it almost seems like divine intervention that Jiri Prochazka, the ultimate consummate martial artist, would sort of have to learn this mercy lesson to whatever degree. I mean, say what you want about what happened. I guess for me, the reason I didn't lean into it as commentator is because I didn't see anything maybe more than some hesitation out of Jiri, which I guess isn't crazy to think in a fight moment, right? Let the fight cook a little bit. I don't know. I don't know how you sort of proceed. It's not like Jiri is some grappler that was going to try to get Ulberg off his feet. Like, how do you show no mercy, right? There's still a left hook. I mean, the guy, right? Like, if Carlos Ulberg's fighting for his life, he's still a threat.
Yeah, what was confusing to me, I think, were those pauses when he had Ulberg's back against the cage a little bit there. He had him trapped, and there were times where he kind of stopped, backed off a little bit, and then invited Ulberg to come down and kind of throw down with him, almost like it's like, you know what? Yeah, I know your leg is hurt. Let's just see what happens. Let's just throw the dice and start throwing down. I'll give you a chance back into that fight. And that's what was communicated to me anyway, without words. And that was just really confusing to me. Now, to explain maybe Jiri Prochazka's position on that, I think that he is such a consummate martial artist, like you said, and sportsman, that maybe he did not want to win in that way. Right. And maybe that's what was going on in his head, and it kind of confused him. And he said, would this be an honorable win to go and attack that far leg? He does bring in that Bushido spirit. So maybe that was it. Maybe we can justify it in that way. But again, it is such a brutal sport, and you work so hard to get there. That's where either, your heart or your mind can kind of trick you into thinking, hey, let me give this guy a chance. But it is a fight sport after all. And it was just tough. It was a tough way to see Jiri lose that fight, right?
Yeah. Pantoja losing his belt like that. This was certainly not a champion losing a belt, but Jiri Prochazka falls to 1-3 in UFC championship fights. The 2 losses to Hokit-Blaydes and this one. So I just have so much admiration for both of these guys as human beings, right? And oftentimes fans come up to me like asking me about who I like or who, and I don't answer those questions, even if I do have a strong lean or convicted opinion, which oftentimes I don't. But there's a lot of personal connective tissue for me on both sides of this. And you only get closer, I think, when you spend time with these individuals and in trusted settings like fighter meetings. So just really want to sort of echo my emotion on both sides. I feel so badly for Jiri Prochazka, right? Just to sort of be out the other side of this loss. But for Carlos Ulberg, man, just couldn't happen to a better dude as far as I can tell. So congratulations to him for changing his life forever. Maybe Paulo Costa shows up next in his bracket. Now, we certainly need to put some respect on the name Magomed Ankalaev. I don't know if he's hurt or not, but given his 1-1 series with Hokit-Blaydes, certainly he would seem to be title shot worthy. But wow, Paulo Costa, man, right? Yanni the Greek said on our show, and I did bring it to pay-per-view this weekend, Paulo Costa fights for your money. And man, did he fight for the money against Azamat Murzakanov, hands him his first pro loss, showed the enemy no mercy. And Costa's live in this division, man, might actually get a championship fight.
I agree with you 100%, and I'm not sure I totally believe that prior to that fight. This was a Paulo Costa that was out there not only to entertain, but to go out there and get the win. And he had that killer instinct. Yes, he did not, maybe get him out of there early when he had him hurt, but, he was so aggressive and so precise in the execution of a game plan that was absolutely clear that, to me, again, this was one of his best performances, perhaps his best performance. And I think that he is definitely a guy that not only could challenge for the belt, but could be a champion in that division. I think that he wasn't afraid of getting tired. He kept his volume high, which I wanted to see. They were potent strikes throughout. He looked like an absolute killer, and Murzakanov is an absolute killer in his own right. So I was blown away by the performance. Yeah.
So when Joe Rogan asked Paulo about middleweight, right, he really doesn't want to hear the noise that he can't make 85. He's trying to be a world champion, right? That's how you make money in the sport. And certainly Paulo Costa's show money's got to be outstanding, brings it every time. But he's trying to be a champion, and now he has an undeniable path at light heavyweight, and I don't know that he would look you in the eyes and tell you that it's not a lot easier to get through training camp as a light heavyweight, despite being dismissive every time he's asked about middleweight. But the division is wide open, and this was moving night in the light heavyweight division. You had Dominic Reyes and Johnny Walker unfortunately not maximize the showcase at all, and had Murzakanov won, or one of the guys not made weight this weekend, he was probably going to be next or very close to it. So I don't know. I mean, Cody's going to populate the top 15 for you, but am I crazy? Is it not out of the realm of possibility that Paulo, the eraser who fights for your goddamn money, could get a championship fight like right now?
It's not crazy at all. He's a big name in the sport. He knows what it takes to get to that elite level. He's proven it yet again at 205 pounds. Size was not an issue at 205 pounds. He looked absolutely massive. And again, I think that, I don't think he's got an issue fighting at 185, but I think he has more confidence fighting at 205, not having to cut as much weight. And I think this was one of his best performances because of that, is because he has confidence in his body not failing him at all. And he's got the strength, he's got the size. He looked absolutely phenomenal, and he's got a really good shot, especially in a time where now we have this new champion in Ulberg, potentially with, an unknown time frame where he could step in maybe for an interim belt or something like that. So yeah, Paulo Costa at 205, I'm liking a lot, and I think he can cause a lot of trouble in that division for sure, and be a champion there.
Yeah, fact or fiction, Paulo Costa fights for an interim light heavyweight title in the not too distant future. I would probably say fact.
Yeah.
You got Khalil Roundtree Jr. out there. Of course, the great Magomed Ankalaev. Jan Blachowicz is, I guess, on a losing streak, right? But I love Jan. I love some Jan Blachowicz, Kenny. But yeah, this is a monumental win, just given that some guys are either on losing streaks or not in that prime position. I don't know, man. The rankings aren't. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know what's going on with Ankalaev, as you said, either. But someone recommended Khalil Roundtree and Paulo Costa for a throwdown. I thought that would be an absolutely nasty fight. I think that would be interesting. Those two guys with all their bad intentions throwing down.
Oh,
dude, come on.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that's sort of a lock to need a doctor after in some capacity. All right. So Josh Hokit, $200,000 in bonuses, and now a slot on the White House against Derek Lewis after the win over Hokit-Blaydes by unanimous decision in what is now widely regarded as one of the top 2 heavyweight fights in UFC history. Ken Flo, go ahead.
This is what I mean when I say one fight can change the trajectory of your whole career. You have a fight like that, people are going to remember your name. And the fact that Josh Hokit went out there with that level of aggression and with that kind of style of fight, that's how you earn fans. And that's how you earn fans probably forever. It was an insane fight. Yes, absolutely. One of the greatest heavyweight fights that I have seen. It was one of those fights where you're like, there's no way. If you saw that in a movie again like that, that'd be like, this is not realistic. There's no way that would happen. Well, no, it can't happen when you have guys like Hokit-Blaydes and Josh Hokit throwing down like that. But absolutely insane. And, again, that's how you get these opportunities in this sport.
Hokit-Blaydes got hit early, and the whole complexion of the fight immediately changed. And Yanni the Greek and you and others certainly thought Hokit was live. And I think the jury's still out as to just who he is and how good he can be. But it is sort of an interesting juxtaposition. The theatrics during the week, Yoda, Greg Jackson, and Mike Winklejohn in his corner.
Yeah.
And now fighting Derek Lewis. But yes, historically, this fight is absolutely amazing, and Hokit-Blaydes should be lauded for his toughness. And I do think that heavyweights just need a little bit more discipline in the first 30 seconds of a fight. I don't understand why they don't laterally move, or what's the point, right? Just 30 seconds, you know what I mean? To not be on wobbly legs, drunk driving 30 seconds into the fight.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, that's where the kind of mind games can mess with fighters, right? Even if your experience is like Josh Hokit got in his head early, has been, saying a lot of crazy things, got Hokit-Blaydes fired up, and, you kind of want to give that pain back. And we got a crazy fight as a result. But yeah, absolutely. Those first 30 seconds were just insane. It looked like Hokit-Blaydes wasn't going to make it past, a minute or two. And we got ourselves just an insane 3-round war. So unreal. Big applause for both those studs.
And big applause for the star of the program, waiting on hold no more, Raymond Peter Longo.
It's now time for the Ray Longo Minute.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest. That's what I want.
The Ray Longo Minute. Starring Ray Longo. The John Anik and Kenny Florian podcast.
Look at him! Look at the motherfucker! That's
No. What's up, man? Wow.
Yo.
That was a show and a half. We're
Yes.
back. We're back.
We're back. You guys are always waiting for me to say something. I figured I would be quiet. Hey, Ray, just know that I always try to see the chat and never try to keep you on hold. I know I needed 2 reminders today. I'm just amidst the passionate conversation. I just want you to know, as the star of the show, I would never not go to you if I had seen Cody's alert to go to you maybe 60 seconds, then I got to you. So I'm sorry.
Very good. I tell you, what a card, though. I was listening to you guys talk. Yeah, what a crazy fight that was. Unfortunately for the rest of the fights, this fight really, I think, almost made you forget the previous fights that were all pretty freaking good. You know what I mean? But I got to tell you, I feel bad for Reyes and Johnny Walker because they got to be getting reamed out, and to have that happen right after, it's not a good look. You know what I mean? It's just,
and this sport is so hard to predict because that was a fight that I was like, there's no way that goes the distance. Both those guys are going to throw down.
yeah.
And we didn't get that, but none of that mattered after the Hokit-Blaydes fight.
No, really crazy, man. And man, hats out to Hoke. Look, I laughed. I thought his stick was. I'm not saying, you know what it is, Kenny. It's not that it was funny. It was him never breaking character.
I know.
That was the funny part to me. Is that, you look when a guy's doing something, it's annoying, and then it becomes funny because he just doesn't stop. I that's where I put it. Like, it wasn't what he was saying was funny, but the way he held character. I think this kid's gonna make it no matter what he does in life. He's showing the discipline.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got something. He's got something going, because I don't think what he did that whole week when he was the Mexican guy with Jiri, the guy's out of his fucking mind. I don't know. Like, I just thought it was. I thought it was funny as hell, man. And then he went in and backed it up. Like, he went right at that guy. I mean, again, even for the main event, John, this felt like the main event. That felt like a heavyweight championship fight. That's what it felt like. It was, you don't know what's going to happen. And I don't even know if Hokit was faking it when he was acting like he was tired. I
know. That's what because he kept doing it. It looked like he was doing a little bit of rope-a-dope. It looked like he was going to be taken out. And then he'd kind of smile and raise his middle finger, Nate Diaz style. And I was like, this guy is a savage.
Yeah, right. He was almost imitating a drunk guy perfectly. Like, I think this kid's got something. I don't know what, but to be able to do that in the middle of a fight, that you're getting hammered.
Unreal.
And I do think, Kenny, it's almost when I was looking at it, because Blaydes is a lot heavier and bigger than him. It's almost like when you get in a car crash and you're drunk, you just go with the punches. And that's what it reminded. He really wasn't getting tagged. He was always at the end. He was turning his head. He's moving.
Right. And his face was clean. It wasn't cut up or bruised up. So
no. I think he, supposedly he's in the hospital with a jaw, maybe something. But he was, I don't want to say rolling the punches, but he was relaxing with the punches. I think
drunken kung fu, Ray.
That was drunken monkey. Yeah, right there. That's what he was doing. Drunken monkey. I thought that's the way it looked to me. Like, the guy's holding the thing and he's going. The guy was all over. Entertaining as hell. I don't know.
It was amazing.
Hats off to both of those guys. And again, you could see Blaydes did not want to lose to this guy, which made that fight. Absolutely fantastic. You could see it because he was hurt, never like before, and fighting for his life. And hats off to whoever won that fight. I think they got the right guy, but that was really that fight sold the whole night. You didn't need anything else after that. You were happy,
Yeah, so, and we got the right guy, Raymond Longo, putting that so beautifully. So. You guys know when I laugh out loud, it's not super quiet. So he made me laugh out loud in the fighter meeting and at the morning weigh-in for sure. Like, he got me. He got me. Largely I'm not necessarily here for the whole thing. As I said on the broadcast, it was the most fruitless fighter meeting we have ever done. I didn't get a single thing for my fighter card, not one. He stayed in character as whomever, Josh or the Incredible Hulk or whatever, the entire time, which was fine. But I guess I'm just curious if he can win a world title. It's the shallowest division, right? The least populated division, I guess, in a lot of respects, right? With respect to some of the women's game. I don't know. I mean, what do we think about Josh Hokit, Ray, and Kenny, and how far he can actually take this thing against, say, like a Sergey Pavlovich, right? I mean, he's prohibitively favored, I think, already against Derek Lewis, who you can't get hit by, right? And survive the consequences. So, Ray, what do you think about how high the ceiling is for Josh Hokit?
Well, if you combine everything together with entertainment, physicality, look, he's a stud athlete. I think he's proven that, right? Football, wrestling, he's all over the place. So, the big punches is the problem. That I think he learned one thing he learned, like he could have his shtick, but from now on, he's going to get hit. He's going to get hit hard, and we got to see how he holds up consistently in those type of fights, and that'll be the difference to me. But physically, man, he's fast. The speed difference was really obvious. So if he developed it, like he's got to do like a Frankie Edgar. He's got to be in and out, moving his head. He's not going to be able to go right at like a Pavlovich. That guy's too big. And there's some guys out there that I think the size is going to, be the problem. But he's willing to fight. And when you're willing to fight and you're tough as this guy is, anything could happen, man. And you saw it with Blaydes. Blaydes definitely on paper should have won that fight. But he got caught early and he had to fight back from the first minute of that fight. But I don't know. It's funny. I want to say he's not a joke because he is a joke, but he's not a joke when he's fighting. I think he's got talent, love his hand speed, like his attitude. And let's see what happens now. He's had a couple of like gimme fights before this where he could knock somebody out easy and not get hurt. Now he ends up in the hospital. Let's see what that looks like 2 or 3 fights down the road. That's what I got to see.
Well, he's coming along at the right time, right? Because obviously the UFC heavyweight division has come under a lot of criticism. And the fact that he delivered that fight and the fact that the UFC was, quick enough and smart enough to go, you know what? The perfect fight for him would be him at the White House against Derek Lewis. That's brilliant matchmaking. And I think that's going to be another crazy fight. After that fight, guys, I think he could potentially get a title fight. And people may think I'm crazy, but like you beat Derek Lewis in that division as of right now. Maybe that's the fight that, he'll fight the winner of Aspinall and Gane whenever that happens. But so I think
Cyril Gane over Alex Pineda.
No, I'm not saying, but the winner of that. The winner
Gane is the
don't quote me,
favorite,
John.
I think right now.
But it's I think that could be the fight. So he's performing at the right time, and again, it couldn't have come at a better time.
Yeah. Right. It is so not out of the realm of possibility that either Tom Aspinall or Alex Pineda or Cyril Gane could find themselves in the octagon with Josh Hokit, who is going to be 3-1 or so to beat Derek Lewis. And the one thing I would say, and you got Greg fucking Jackson in your corner, right? What a blessing. But wouldn't you not be a cardiovascular beast, right? If you just consistently are Josh Hokit and you are putting in the extra time and discipline and are in the best shape of your life and your body is as hardened as it can possibly be, which in theory would harden your brain and your chin, right? Like commitment in totality, you could change your life, be the UFC heavyweight champion. The heavyweight champion makes a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even Derek Lewis, who hasn't become a champion, he makes a lot of freaking money. A lot of those heavyweights that are big names make a lot of money. And you perform like that, you put on fights like that, UFC is going to take care of you. You're going to get paid a lot. So he again. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the old saying, you don't get a second chance at a first impression. Man, did this guy's first impression, he's going to make money, whether he becomes a champ or not. I think that's for sure. He's going to make money. And, talk about Jackson and Wink. I'm happy to see those guys again. But you guys alluded to something. Let me just defend those guys. You guys alluded to something on the broadcast, like something was wrong with like he wasn't getting cornered right. And that's an all-star corner. Please do not hold Jackson and Wink responsible for that guy. Somebody said that. I think it was DC said that, and that's an all-star corner. Go back and listen to it. But my point is, you can't blame those guys for the actions of that guy. He's not listening to nobody. And to go back with the cardio and stuff, I don't know if this guy can change at this point. He's going to do what he's going to do. And I've seen guys in the gym like him. They like to fight. Yeah, he'll probably take a fight on a day's notice. He's that guy. He's not preparation isn't going to be his strong point, I don't think. Well, by what I'm looking at, he just looks like he wants to fight and do his shtick and get in there, and he doesn't really care. But definitely an athletic dude. I'm impressed.
I saw a post on X, and apparently, who knows if this is true or not. He said, "I'm Josh Hokit's college buddy and been around when he was, trying out for NFL teams and this and that." And he's like, that is not a shtick. He's like, he's absolutely crazy. Like that's
Oh wow,
Yeah, yeah.
he's nuts. So I don't know.
Like
It
you're not
could be,
controlling that guy in the corner. There's no way. I've been there before with guys like that. They're impossible.
Yeah, it's interesting that he ended up there. And I don't know exactly how that happened because he walks into our fighter meeting and he is somebody else. I mean, I'm seeing the morning weigh-in, and this guy is right in that other alter ego, and he's like covering up his twig and berries. I mean, it was
talking to himself. Curtis Blade, he's gonna elbow me. He said he's gonna elbow me.
Kenny,
amazing.
I'm saying this guy's got a shot in acting. I don't think what he did was easy.
WWE would probably pay a lot of money for that guy, but
I mean,
1 million. He's setting himself up.
1 million%. Kenny, I agree 1,000,000% with that. He is, and he's athletic. He can do that easy.
He can move. Yeah,
and he certainly will not have the pressure on him that Gable Steveson will have on him when he makes his UFC debut. Kenny, International Fight Week in July, certainly as budding a heavyweight prospect as has existed in a very long time.
Things just got even more interesting in the UFC heavyweight division, and the fact that Steveson is signed now officially. We all know how talented this kid is. Has been a freak wrestler for a very, very long time, and the fact that he's been committed to MMA for a little while now. He's a guy that not only could win the belt, but could hold that belt for a very, very long time. I think the important part is going to be what kind of fights he takes. And I think also, the fans need to understand he hasn't had a whole lot of fights. So there's going to be a certain amount of development, or I think there should be anyway. He still is going to have a lot to learn. But as far as his talent and what he's done in the wrestling world, this is a huge, huge signing for the UFC. And I think he's going to be around and be very successful for a very long time.
And we got to see, is he willing to take the punishment of a Josh Hokit that he's willing to take?
Right.
That's the interesting part.
Right.
What happens when he meets adversity and he's got to be stuck standing up for 3 minutes and the fight's not going to the floor.
Yeah.
But he looks like he's throwing, it looks like everything's going great for him. But I think this guy Hokit, especially for a football player, he's the best transfer over athlete we've seen. If you just hold it to football, I don't think we've ever had a football player throwing punches like this guy. I don't think.
So
wrestling background as well.
Right? 2019 NCAA Division I Wrestling Championships. He is the 16 seed in the bracket with Bo Nickel, who's the number 1 seed. I watched the match as part of my prep. It was quick. But Bo Nickel tweeted this weekend that Josh was the only guy in the bracket that didn't stall and try to sort of extend things, actually tried to beat him. So it certainly dovetails with who Josh Hokit is. In the nature of time, Raymond, I would like to get your thoughts on Carlos Ulberg's heroics in winning the undisputed light heavyweight title on one leg.
Wow. I don't even.
Please mute your phone.
I think we first have to discuss mental illness in MMA because something is, it's all funny when the guy's praying up on Mount Olympus and standing on his bed drinking his own piss. But this is what happens, man. This is what happens. That poor guy was confused mercy. Mercy. What the fuck? I mean, dude. You blew the fucking fight. What's that thing? You blew it. You blew it. The guy wants to come back now and say, you fucking blew it. Holy shit. You got to be kidding me.
So you're saying as a coach, you wouldn't have had any mercy on him?
Definitely not. That guy, first off, his first training is to go back and watch the Karate Kid 1.
I thought of that too. I thought of that too.
And this guy is got to
the leg.
You got to be kidding me. You got to be fucking kidding me. I'm going to tell you something because I had a guy similar to, I'm not even going to mention names, but everybody knows who I'm talking about. But there's one fight he's fighting a guy, oh my God, Tandem McCrory, 170 pounds, like
cat.
6'3", Kenny. Probably is going to weigh in about 195. My guy, he's got his special diet and he's like 164 before the weigh-in. So he comes up with he's going to put ankle weights on. This is why they got rid of like weighing in with your your sweatpants on.
Yeah.
He puts ankle weights on, right? So he gets up to like 168. McCrory's going to be 195. He's huge to begin with.
Yeah.
You know what this guy does after the weigh-in? He fasted. So he probably came into that fight at 160. The other guy had to be what? So, and then he loses the fight, obviously, and he's crying afterwards. And I'm like, are you crying because you lost the fight? Or are you crying because you know you're crazy what you did? Like, I'm confused as to why you're even upset. Like, these guys are on a different level, man. And I think Yuri's not far off from that. He was sincerely confused.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just let the fight slip away.
That's what it looked like to me.
I feel bad for Ulberg. I really do. I feel bad for Carlos because it was a Hollywood movie type script. And he's got to now think that this guy gave him a break, because he had mercy on him. And that somehow led to whatever happened, which who the hell knows what was going on. But with that being said, hats off to Ulberg. He did what he had to do. He could have stopped. He could have quit. He could have hobbled around. But he was going to fight to the very end. And he deserves what he got. And the other guy, I don't know. He needs to talk to somebody because that's just that was ridiculous what I saw. Absolutely ridiculous. I know he's a good guy, and again, if you gave the guy mercy, then be happy. You did what you wanted to do. You let him off the hook. Don't be mad about it.
Kenny?
That should be a badge of honor for you. You didn't want to hurt a guy that was injured, so leave it like that. But you can't have it both ways. You can't be unhappy and happy and whatever it is.
Yeah, can't have your cake and eat it too, whatever that means exactly. Kenny, as I said, though, off the top of the show, the fight game analysts and your contemporaries like Ray, coaches, fighters, seem to be split on this. Not that you have to and can't give Ulberg credit and also criticize Jiri Prochazka and his fight IQ and fight or whatever is going on. But, you have guys like Teddy Atlas talking about this as an all-time moment for Carlos Ulberg to sort of stay present and leaning into that. And Ray, with respect, saying he feels bad for Ulberg because maybe some of the shine is being taken away. It's interesting.
Yeah, listen, I think Ulberg, is not going to feel bad about that or confused himself because he was dealing with some serious shit, right? I mean, he's down a leg. You have a guy, an absolute murderer in front of you. Now he's kicking out your other leg, and you're trying to find a way. Your leg is compromised. You've already tripped over the damn thing about 3 or 4 times, and you're just hoping for a prayer. And the one move that you can land, especially with Yuri's propensity for dropping that lead hand, is the one that's presented to you. Well, it takes presence of mind, skill, timing to get that done. Ulberg gets it done. I mean, that's a dream type scenario in a lot of ways as well. So, just crazy. This sport is crazy.
Crazy. And look, it's just the fact you saw him kind of let his foot off the gas and acknowledge it and then say,
he looked confused out there.
Yeah, you don't even have to move. Let's just see who wins standing still in here. Like, I don't know. It's just look, if Alexa Grasso had that character or that floor, she's not jumping on that choke. You got to do what you got to do. You got to end that fight. The ref's got to pull you off. I mean, where is the disconnect on that? John, you're telling me there's coaches that are disagreeing with that? They think he should have?
No, I think they're just far more focused on sort of what Ulberg was able to do in fight. I don't want
to overshadow that.
Well, and I said earlier, if we thought on the broadcast, Joe, I thought was very thoughtful to ask that question to Jiri, but mercy wasn't front of mind for me as the play-by-play guy as I'm calling the fight, nor was it for my broadcast partners. Otherwise, in that moment, perhaps we would have found a window in which to bring it up, Hey, Ray.
No. Hats off to Ulberg. I don't want to overshadow. Just I can't. Like what I was looking at was so crazy that that's where my brain goes to. Look, when that door closes, man, anything can happen, and that's it. Period. The door opens. Everybody should be shaking hands, hugging each other, kissing each, whatever you want to do. But when that door closes, fucking shit is on. I don't care what the fuck happens. That's my personal opinion.
Yanni the Greek said that a lot of people like putting their money behind Jiri Prochazka. I feel bad for those people.
I do it.
Gosh. Brutal. Anyway.
Well, Ray, as soon as you get your podcast studio set up, we're going to have big things here on the Anik and Florian podcast.
I love it.
And then you're also going to find out that for your busy mornings and your workouts and your everyday routine and everything in between, you just need a coffee that works as hard as you do, Raymond. To that end, enter Throne Sport Coffee, backed by legendary quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Got his golf tournament coming up in a few weeks, by the way. I'm going to fucking spray it in the woods. We supposed to swear in the commercial? Probably not. Throne Sport Coffee is functional, better for you coffee made for active on-the-go lifestyles. Each can has 150 milligrams of natural caffeine, right in that perfect caffeine wheelhouse. Natural sweeteners, 100% of your daily B vitamins. The lattes pack 10 grams of protein, cold brews, low sugar, dairy-free options as well for people like me out there. Throne Sport Coffee, also NSF certified for sport. You can find Throne Sport Coffee at Longo's Gym in Garden City, New York, and also in retailers nationwide, including Casey's, Quick Trip, and Whole Foods, or online on Amazon.com, Walmart.com, and their website directly, sportcoffee.com. Throne Sport Coffee. Get going. Keep going. I'm going to take a sip here, Ray. I wanted to get a few more minutes of your time, though, if we could, on anything else UFC 327 related. We lived in Cub Swanson's win a little bit earlier. How about this Aaron Pico, though? I mean,
yeah, Pico, outstanding way. Cub Swanson, man, what a way to go out. And I tell you, unfortunately, I still hold to my word. If I talk to him today, there's still 20 guys he could beat in that division.
Did you hear us quote you on the broadcast?
I don't care if he's 45. Just yeah, I did hear that was.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
That was. Thank you. Thank you. Good price.
That's amazing.
Couple price say it never happened, so it's even better.
This fucking guy, man. You know, I mean.
Do your due diligence. That conversation.
I mean, sometimes your fights are so quick, I can't even fucking mention your name when you're in the goddamn corner. But we gratuitously shout you out, and now he's on here
gratuitously.
Jesus,
I love it.
But Ray Longo.
But
catch him on UFC Unfiltered. Go ahead.
His Cubs boxing is beautiful, though, Kenny.
He looks great, man.
His misdirections. I love what he does. I really do. He did that, and that was. And Nate's a tough guy, man. He comes forward to take punishment. He just got destroyed. But anyway, enough of that. Pico, another guy, fantastic. I thought Paulo Costa, fantastic. The other guy, Steve Lee told me, like, pop for PEDs like 3 times or something.
Mirzakhanov?
Yeah, is that true?
Early on, I did not know that it was more than once, brother.
I mean, that should be a poster child for never to do steroids. I mean, come on, you got to be kidding.
Body fat percentage not low, incidentally, on Azamat Mirzakhanov. I just have to say though, man, and Paulo Costa, man, you know, it's just you just know that if he's healthy and right of mind, like, just absolutely brings his smart fighter. Yeah, I thought that was awesome. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We're going to talk to Kevin Holland here in a little bit. Randy Brown and Kevin Holland go toe to toe there.
That I'm upset because, you know, Randy was sparring the guy in the gym who's really, really good, and he gave him a great look for that fight. I really thought Randy was going to win that fight. I mean, he definitely got in 15. What were they doing? 3 rounds? Yeah, they probably got 15, 20 rounds in over the course of the last month. Yeah, so I was surprised. I thought Randy was going to win that fight, but Pat's off to Holland. Good scrap.
So Aaron Pico, Ken Flo, just such an impressively skilled fighter, and the featherweight division is in an interesting place right now for sure. But, you know, Pico said humbly in our fighter meeting that had he beat Lerone Murphy, he's probably going to fight Alexander Volkanovski for the title. And I do think, you know, that he didn't lose too much in the Lerone Murphy fight. Now that he's out the other side of it with a win, what'd you make of Aaron Pico, if I could, Ken Flo?
Well, that's how you come back. And, you know, I think there were a lot of question marks about Aaron Pico and what he'd be able to do in the UFC. And I think getting a win like that against a tough guy in Pitbull who has so much damn experience, I think was huge. It should be a huge confidence builder for him. And I think reinforce the idea of fighting intelligently. And yes, just because you get someone hurt or you're landing shots, it doesn't mean you can all of a sudden get reckless. So I thought he really managed the aggression, the pressure, and the intelligence really well. And sometimes it can be hard to kind of manage that. You can go too defensive. You can go too aggressive. But I think this was a nice blend of all of those skills, and we saw the best Aaron Pico as a result. So, yeah, this is going to be a guy that you got to watch out for in the 145-pound division with everything that he brings. You know, everyone talks about his wrestling and what he accomplished there, but his boxing looked really sharp. He was mixing up his kicks as well. So great to see a good guy like Aaron Pico get back on track.
1 million. Couldn't agree more with you.
Hey, Ray, would you rather have 5 half-sized clones of yourself, 5 mini Longos up to your waist or so, or 1 full-sized clone of yourself? I happen to have a clone of myself. So
I'll take a clone of myself. Not that
wish you had a twin.
I don't know what the hell.
5 little ones would be hilarious, though, Ray. You know.
All right, we'll get you out of here on.
You don't want that, Kenny. Trust me.
We'll get you out of here on this. UFC Freedom 250. Cyril Gane, Alex Pereira. Who do you think is the betting favorite, and who do you think wins the interim heavyweight championship, Raymond?
I would think Pereira's got to be the betting favorite.
He is the underdog.
Wow.
Who do you think wins the fight?
I think Pereira beats him.
He's minus 105. That makes him the slightest of underdogs.
Oh, okay. So
Cyril Gane is minus 115, but technically speaking, there is a better price on Alex Pereira on DraftKings Sportsbook right now than there is on Cyril Gane. Ken Flo earlier was talking about Aspinall Gane too, so perhaps he falls on that side of things. But some pretty big numbers. Mauricio Hufi minus 625 against Michael Chandler, who's plus 455. Josh Hokit minus 285. Derek Lewis plus 230. Bo Nickel minus 310. Kyle Dawkins plus 250. Sean O'Malley minus 395. Eamon Zahabi plus 310. And Ilya Topuria minus 650. Justin Gaethje plus 470 is insane.
Very interesting odds there.
I don't care what anybody says. Justin Gaethje near plus 500 is systematically insane. Topuria would tell you that.
Great value on Zahabi as well, man.
Yeah, I think so. I think Zahabi's he might be the guy. I got to take a look at that fight. I think he's got a good shot of winning that fight.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, we wish you a great day and a better evening. Do you have anything else for us? I mean, Dennis Bazooka is your former guy. He's fighting this weekend in Winnipeg. We have Gilbert Dorino Burns and Mike Malott in the main event this weekend. But that's really all we had for you, unless you would like to chime in on anything else. What's the rest of your day look like, man?
I'm running out the door to the gym, and that's about it.
We might change the time slot to 10:30 a.m. Eastern, which would make your segment at what time do you wake up and go to bed? Oh, we have Kevin Holland. Let's get him. I mean,
let me get out of here.
Get out of here. We don't need you anymore.
I'll talk to you later. Take it easy.
We definitely don't need him anymore. Because we got Trailblazer Kevin Holland on a Monday. Appreciate
What's going on,
you making
fellas?
the time, man. How are you?
Oh man, not bad. How about you guys?
I'm doing well. I was
Great to have you.
I was doing research on the legendary stallion Metallic Cat today.
Yeah,
Because,
good name, right?
Yeah. So what can you tell us about your horse purchase and are you trying to make money on horses? Is this your passion? What do you got going on?
My son likes to ride horses, and you always got to support your kids.
Yeah.
So, and of course, him liking to ride horses, I started riding with him, and we started a little while back, and just recently he decided he wanted to get more into it. So we went from barrel racing to wanting to do some cutting and roping. So. We got the metallic to get in the money line for the cutting, and that's where all the celebrities like to be. And then, of course, all my people like roping. So, we go out and do a little bit of roping. So we got a nice little ranch out here. I'm actually out here right now. The horse that we're thinking about purchasing, that one we're going to guarantee purchase. We look at that later on next week. And then I got my good old mountain cowboy shooting horse out here right now. She's getting all cleaned up and stuff. So me and her can make a run today. And then we got another horse on the way right now for some reining practice. That way he's a pretty good rider. He looks really good when he's out there. So I keep telling him to do reining. He's like, it's boring, but it'll be good for him.
Well, congratulations, man. And we definitely appreciate having a few minutes on the other side of a big win. I don't know how you quantify these wins now that there have been so many of them in terms of like the dollars you make on that night and the potential for future dollars, obviously. But It's a big win, man. You know, like for Randy Brown, like it's some sort of setback. And for you, it's like a big win as you spin it forward to the positive. So,
Yeah.
what is the level of satisfaction a couple days out, given just all the love you received and ultimately getting the win?
Man, it's always great getting a dub and getting the love. The last two I had before that left me a little bit sour. I was trying to have a great year the year before that, so didn't happen the way I wanted it to. So it's always good to get back in the win column. Randy Brown, I've always known he was be a tough opponent, so it's good to get a dub over him. I just hate that I didn't get a finish. There's a famous line of Django, and he says, "I like the way you die, boy, but I like the way Randy Brown falls when he falls." He's a great guy, hell of a guy, fantastic dude, but I definitely wanted to put him down just for the good old sake of Kevin Holland. You know what I mean? And my legacy and who I am.
So Joe Rogan absolutely loves you. I mean, I just see him light up to my right. The way you fight, the way you carry yourself, how much fun you have in there. I don't know if you've been on the Joe Rogan Experience. We're happy to have you here, but that's a show that I think would deserve your presence. And I know you have like a love affair with Miami, but truly, I'm not saying this because it's your first time on the show. Like everywhere we go, it would seem to me, as someone who's been doing this for a long time, that you sell tickets, that people come out to see you. Like when you fought Jack Della Maddalena in Vegas, like Noche UFC, the biggest ovations were yours. Like, I don't know the extent to which that moves your bank account, but you're a fan favorite, whether you like it or not.
I like being a fan favorite for sure, for sure. It's great to go out there and have all the people scream my name when I'm inside the cage. Fun fact. So when they told me I was going to be on the undercard, when I seen that, I was like, cool. My grandfather kind of like calculated it up. He was like, "You're going to be on CBS," and I was like, stuff like that usually doesn't bother me. Check's the check, the contract, the contract. And who you got to kill is who you got to kill, right? But ultimately, my grandfather lit up because he was like, your father's going to finally be able to watch you fight. My father's been incarcerated my whole life. And me and him got a great relationship. So it was pretty cool that he was going to be able to see me fight. But my father got on the phone after the fight was over and called my mom and was like, when the crowd was screaming, Holland, Holland, he said the whole prison yard was screaming, Holland, Holland. He said, so the prison yards were rumbling and crumbling and going freaking crazy in there. He said between the guards and the inmates, everybody just absolutely loved the fact that they got to watch me fight at that time. So, yeah, happy to be on the undercard, happy to be on CBS, and happy to be a fan favorite. So, yeah, ultimately, it's a hell of a package.
That's unbelievable, man. I feel like there's a ton of layers to Kevin Holland. It's like you're a part-time superhero, you're a cowboy, you're a badass fighter. You do all these things, man. What's probably the most misunderstood thing about you that maybe people get wrong?
I think they get it all right, but at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is just going home, being a dad. It's like we get done with the fights, everybody's turning up, everybody's having a good time. I'm looking for the fastest flight to get home to get back to the kids. I'm gone from Tuesday all the way to Sunday, and it's like if I can get home Saturday night, midnight, and be able to pop up Sunday morning when they wake up and possibly throw some breakfast out or go pick up some breakfast somewhere at our favorite spot, that's a great day. And Sunday Fun Day is the day where we usually get to ride horses and stuff, especially if the sun's out and it's not all rained out. So I like to get home, and I like to hang out with my kids. It's like I like to be with the fam.
And regarding like an actual fight, you bring a lot of chaos every time you fight. I'm curious as to like, do you rely on instinct or do you rely on preparation when things get crazy during a fight?
When it gets crazy, that's just me having a good time. We prep for a lot of different things, and good thing I've got connected with my cousin over the years because Chico, he does a good job of understanding exactly how me and him are and just exactly how we are as a fam, and we love that chaos and that crazy moment. So when that happens, it's like we tend to do a good job of making that work. So, this young horse always does something crazy. But yeah, ultimately, it's always a good time when we're out there. And I plan for this Randy Brown fight, but for the most times, I'm usually just going out there trying to be absolutely crazy.
Mission accomplished as usual for Kevin Holland, with whom we got a few more minutes here on the Anik and Florian podcast. The name of the new gym, Squabble MMA in Richland Hills, Texas. By the way, I have in my notes, if you go back to the shaved head, you will never fucking lose, bro.
Yeah, it was come on, get up, girl. Get up. Come on, get up. Get up. Get up. Come on, quit being stubborn. Get your ass up. There we go. Not time to roll. All right, my bad, fellas. horses, man. Young horses. They always do crazy things. Yeah, man. Shave the head. Life's good. That long hair was just a little bit of a problem. Didn't know what hairstyle I wanted before the fight. That kind of takes away from the good old fact. Just want some pure act.
Yeah. So you said after the fight that you fought all over the world, but that you'd like to fight in Las Vegas again. So I went back through your UFC history. Do you know in your last 13 fights how many times you have fought in Las Vegas?
Probably like 2 times.
1.
Wow, that sucks.
So, but that was interesting.
Wow.
So I heard you say that as a man who's fought all over the world. So you fought Jack Della, Noche UFC, and then way back Chimaev. Right now, granted, you fought a lot, right? So you can accrue 13 fights quicker than the average bear, but once in the last 13 fights. So hopefully you get that Vegas showcase again. So, you know, your media scrum was pretty short, you know, and it's certainly on the media to ask thoughtful questions. So certainly Ken Flo and I today trying to figure out some thoughtful questions. I only got 2 more for you. So I thought this was interesting. Would you rather, and I'm sure your Bank of America checking account looks good, but would you rather a 1 in 10 chance to die for $1 million or a 1 in 3 chance to die for $1 billion?
Like die?
Yeah. So basically you got a 1 in 10 chance to die. They flip a coin and 9 out of 10 times you get $1 million, but one of those coins is you die.
Oh, I'll take the billion.
The billion, right?
Yeah, if we're gonna die, we're going for the billion.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
I love it.
And then I guess I would just ask because, I mean, dude, you look so good on the scale, right? So your first 13 fights in the UFC were at middleweight. Since you've bounced around a little bit, but mostly at welterweight, you never miss weight. You always look great. It never seems like it's a struggle, but you do sometimes say like life's more fun at middleweight. So
yeah,
are you, but I don't know, man. Are you just disciplined? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, 70s, honestly, it's very, very easy to get to. You would think that if they had a 65 weight class, that'd probably be the weight class for me. If they had a 75 weight class, then I'd be bouncing back and forth. If they had an 85, 65 to 85, I could do all 3, right? Because you already see I fought at 85. I just don't really enjoy being on a diet that much. I live in Texas, bro. I mean, it's like I hunt a lot, I kill a lot, and I got a lot of meat stuck in my deep freezer, and it's like I want to cook that and enjoy that, but then I get on a diet, and for 4 weeks, I need to be eating clean. And what I realized this last camp, it's really just 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, it's kind of cool.
Well, congratulations, man. We do appreciate your time, and I wish you all the best, man. You're an absolute stud, and I don't know if your paycheck dovetails with how much fan support you have, but I'm telling you, man, like it seems to me like you're top 10, top 15 in terms of the adoration that the fan base has for you. So enjoy the rest of your day, Kev. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys, man. I appreciate you
Congrats,
guys.
man.
Thank you, guys.
Kevin Holland with us here on the Anik and Florian podcast. I first really noticed it at Noche UFC. I'm walking out to MC what is one of the more festive ceremonial weigh-ins I've ever done. And it's Mexican Independence Day and everything else. And I'm like, Jesus, man, like it was Elvis. Kevin Holland with a lot of love and brings it every time. And I think unlike a lot of athletes, Kenny is able to have fun in a setting that fun isn't front of mind for a lot of fighters.
The more I learn about Kevin Holland, the more impressed I am. The guy is very, very impressive, does a lot of different things at a high level. And it's great to see him back on track again and in a great fight against a really tough opponent in Randy Brown, man.
Yeah, it was an interesting fight. 30-27s across the board for Kevin Holland. And Henner Gracie, I think, did a video as to why maybe he wasn't able to get that choke home, right?
Yeah, and he was right. Absolutely. I think Randy Brown opening up that elbow was preventing that strong connection on the neck. And I think if Kevin was able to get some downward pressure on that elbow to go across, he can then adjust those long arms to get a better bite on the side of the neck. So yeah, props to Henner Gracie for a great breakdown. And I'm sure Kevin will implement that in the future.
All right, we will spin it forward in 5 or so minutes to UFC Fight Night Burns versus Malott, but a few more things relating to UFC 327. And we are not being hyperbolic, me, Joe, and DC, when we suggest that Miami is very festive and very loud. And it was so loud in that arena, Kenny, all night long. And I had suggested on X that some people, RJ Clifford and others, were suggesting that on paper, UFC 327 was the deepest card since UFC 300. And a lot of people countered that to suggest that we're in this world in which we're looking for bouts of consequence, right? That's sort of my phraseology, right? And so maybe Vicente Luque versus Kelvin Gastelum doesn't have the divisional relevance that it would have had years ago, right? Even though I know Vicente Luque is moving on up, but relative to maybe their fighting primes, and even if Luque is one of the most decorated finishers of all time, that it's not this massive bout of consequence divisionally per se. But this fight card was littered with high-level athletes that were either ranked previously or ranked now, and it was one of the more fantastic nights of fighting that I have ever seen. So
I love it, man. Growing up in a big Latino family, I know how loud we can get. So yeah, I mean, it's great that Miami turned up and they had a fantastic card as a result. And it's always nice as a fighter, as a fan, when you're in that kind of environment. It's something you're never going to forget. So awesome to hear.
Mateusz Gamrot over Esteban Ribovics, just so incredible. I mean, I could go on and on about this fight card. It's so interesting. Like Gamrot preserving his number 8 ranking, Ribovics leaving no stone unturned for probably 12 weeks preparing for this challenge and just realizing that there are levels to that side of the game. And if you can't get past that hurdle, I always find it interesting when you're preparing for a stylist like Gamrot. And even though Yanni the Greek acknowledged on our show that maybe he spends more time standing than on the ground, but when you're preparing for someone like that, you spend a lot of time, do a lot of athletes training off of their back, trying to get up. And then other coaches would suggest that you can't be on your back or you're going to lose. So they spend all of their time taking the air out of the matchup that has been given them and just trying to stay away at all costs, Yes. And sometimes that doesn't even produce the desired result. But I can even tell you that within the confines of one gym, I think coaches philosophically, right? Like, what would it take, Kenny, for it's not going to be one training camp or even 8 for Ribovics as a stylist to be able to close that gap on Gamrot. So what do? You say, I can't let him get on my leg a single time because the fight's probably going to be over. And that's what happened.
Precisely. And I would even maybe go further, that you have to show a certain level of aggression. And in this case, maybe show a certain level of recklessness that you wouldn't otherwise in other fights, because there is that huge disparity in grappling skill that you kind of have to throw maybe more flying knees than you would during a typical fight. So it was a bad matchup for him. Gamrot was really on point with his control and took Ribovics right out of the fight, ultimately got that beautiful arm triangle. And Gamrot was on point, man.
And then somewhat similarly, Tatiana Suarez over Lupe Godinez.
Yes.
And what a submission for Suarez. Yeah, huge hit for Ken Flo. What'd you have, $1,000 or something on Suarez?
I did. I liked the matchup, but might have been pooping my pants in round 1. Godinez had Suarez pretty badly hurt. So she certainly had her moment, but Suarez is as tough as they come.
She is, man.
She was able to rally back, man, and implement her wrestling and control, and got it done with that nice rear naked choke. But yeah, I was a little scared round 1, buddy.
And not similar in totality to Ribovics and Gamrot, but Lupe Godinez has 2 world-class wrestlers as sisters. And Anna Godinez, who was in her corner and is her wrestling coach, was massive in preparation for Suarez. And yet the combination of wrestling and grappling for Tatiana Suarez is just out of answers, right? You spend 2 months. And for Lupe, in a lot of respects, so much of her career trying to, get. And I just think for Ribovics and Godinez, there's some connective tissue there. This is pretty deflating to be outside the other side when you know sort of what's coming. You feel like you've done everything and it's no contest.
That's the problem with going against these, singular specialists like a Khabib Nurmagomedov or, Islam Makhachev or whatever. They're so good at that one discipline. You know what's coming and you still can't stop it. It's very deflating too when you've put in all that work and you give up that first takedown. You're like, okay, well maybe I could stop the next one, and then the second and the third comes, and that's really what kind of destroys your heart and your resolve. So it's tough, man. It beats you on both the technical and the mental side for sure.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody for being with us as we continue with hour number 2 of the Anik and Florian podcast. Wish we could have spent a little more time on Aaron Pico. We also congratulate Vicente Luque moving into fourth place all time on the UFC's finishes list with 15, and Chuck Buffalo, Charles Radke, getting it done. By the way, if you have stuck around, it was a Jerry Rice 1986 rookie card.
Nice.
NBA playoffs are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, boosts every game day the whole postseason. When the lights get brightest, the best players in the world show you acutely who they are, and the playoff stars are going to turn it up round by round. You know that, and DraftKings turns it up too, with a profit boost available every single game day of the NBA playoffs, from the first round all the way to the finals. I'm excited to bet this NBA postseason. I don't play much during the regular season. I attack the postseason, and there are some good opportunities out there. And new sportsbook customers, you can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code AFPOD so you're ready for the moment. That's code AFPOD. Turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. NBA bet boost restrictions apply and vary when offered. Boost only applies to winnings. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer. All right, UFC Fight Night, Burns versus Malott, and now joining us, really an astute mixed martial arts mind. We're happy to have him back on the program. Beautiful backdrop as usual. Dan, Tom, good to see you, brother.
What's up, guys? Kenny, I love the shirt, man. I don't know what that says about me. That's the first thing I'm coming on here and saying.
Yeah.
But the shirt caught my eye, man. I really dig the threads.
You can't miss it. You can't miss it. Yeah.
So
it's pretty bright.
Dan, at the beginning of the show, we opened, and the first thing Kenny said was, yeah, I don't know about my shirt on camera. So he led with the shirt as well.
Okay.
It's hard
All right.
to miss. Yeah. Kenny will be all over Charlotte today. You can't miss him. By the way, Kenny, seems like you had a pretty good tactical shooting performance this weekend, or practical shooting. What do you call it?
Well, thank you. Yeah. Did a little practical shooting at a good match on the weekend. I've been working on being consistent. Sometimes we'll have there's like different stages. So you're almost like golf. You have different courses, right? Or whatever. I was able to be consistent. There's 2 weeks in a row. I've been more consistent. I'm not having this performance where I'm like third in one thing and then like 50th in another. So yeah, it was going well, man. I've been working hard on it. So thank you.
That would be the worst house to try to burglarize in Charlotte, North Carolina, right, Dan? I mean,
well, real quick, I gotta say this. I won't get too deep into it. It didn't get too crazy, but I actually had someone try to break into my house last night. And I had a situation. Yeah, it was wild. I had a situation where, let's just say, I wish I was tactical Kenny Florian. That's all. I was just like, what?
Well, but you can strike, Dan.
I got 100-pound Mastiff. I've got, a 12. I got a 14-year purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu over here, and I have probably every weapon, Kenny, besides a firearm. I don't know if I should be saying that for multiple reasons, but I don't have firearms is the point. And I'm not tactical Kenny Florian over here. And I'm like, oh my goodness. It definitely made me think about those thoughts. Let's just say, but all is good here.
Jeez, glad everything's okay, man. Jeez.
Yeah, that's intense. But yeah, at least you can throw down a little bit, Dan, in case you need to do that. But yeah, for Temple, it's like you break into, well, if you get through the gated community and all the fucking gates, when you get through all the fucking gates and then, choke you to sleep in his jiu-jitsu room and then come fucking.
I like layers of security.
Yeah.
There we go.
Choke him out first or you shoot him. But anyway, I would go elsewhere.
Follow that path.
UFC Fight Night, Burns versus Malott. We also said off the top of the show, Kenny and I just go full throttle Boston accent when it comes to Mike Malott, so we'll try to stay focused here. Main card offering, women's flyweight division, number 7, Jasmine Jazz Divisius, minus 298 now, 9th ranked Karine Silva, plus 240. Kenny, we go in fucking jazz hands for
I love jazz hands.
So what do you make of this offering here, Dan, Tom, in the women's flyweight division?
It's a really interesting one, man. I don't want to quite use the term trap fight because we've seen Jasmine Jazz Divisius get respected odds over dangerous Brazilians before. In fact, fun stat to throw your guys' way. Jazz Divisius actually 5-1 opposite Brazilian opposition in the octagon. That lone loss, of course, coming to Natalia Silva, who is, of course, a top contender in the division. So that seems to be mainly who she loses to. But I've been a big fan of Killer Karine. And a lot of times these Brazilians, they're like the, what's the term I'm going to mess up here? Will travel for work kind of fighters. You'll see they're the ones going to Russia. They're the ones going to Canada for these, potential showcase spots on paper. And because of that, it's really easy to be like, I've seen this before. Whether you're a commentator, a hardcore fan, or a media person, you're like, oh yeah, this is a setup spot and yada yada. I'd be careful about walking into that. So I'm actually going to pick Jazz Vicious here as the favorite. I do think that I suspect it's going to be a lot of striking, a little more conservative performance, considering that both ladies are coming off losses, especially the kind of loss Jazz just had.
Yeah.
And because of that, she is, I think, in my opinion, going to be able to grapple when she needs to. She's just going to have to be careful there. Karine Silva will go for submissions. The problem is, even though she's gotten those leg locks, she will give up position before submission. Something my guy Kenny always notates, I'm sure, in his own analysis. Curious to see where Kenny lies, and I'll probably give more analysis on this fight when it comes to the betting section, and I'll just leave it at that.
Nicely done, man. The odds makers do suggest Ken Flo. It is a favorable matchup for Jazz Hands here against Karine Silva, who lost a unanimous decision to Macy Barber last December, UFC 323. Ken Flo, who do you like here, 125?
Yeah, another great breakdown by Dan. I think that Karine Silva, I think she's got a ton of talent. I think she's very dangerous, and I think she is going to be especially dangerous early in the fight. That's where she tends to shine and do some damage. But I think Jasmine is going to be very smart and onto that. Jazz Vicious is an excellent grappler, and I think that her persistence and her willingness to get this to the ground, I think will ultimately pay off for her. I think that overall, she's the better grappler positionally. I think even with submissions as well, not to say that she can get lackadaisical in this fight, but I think that this is a good fight for our girl. Jazz Hands. Let's go.
By the way, before I forget, shout out to the Dan Tom Southpaw report giving me the Paulo Costa 6-1 against UFC level Southpaw nugget.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that on the broadcast. When you say the UFC level Southpaws, it warms my heart, John. I just want to let you know that, man. I appreciate that.
Bro. Every other show, I might actually give you the credit, my man. All right.
No worries.
Featured bout at lightweight at 36 years of age, the Firas Zahabi trained Mango Mandel Nallo makes his UFC debut. He will do so as a near 2-1 favorite, minus 180 or so, against Jai Herbert, who comes back plus 150. So Nallo earning the contract on season 9 of Dana White's Contender Series. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu black belt, 5 wins by rear naked choke, 8 knockouts. That included 1 on the Contender Series. DT, the knockouts have started to pile up. What do you make of Nallo here? Minus 180 and climbing against old friend Jai Herbert.
Well, let's just say, I'm more curious of the breakdown is Kenny Florian going to put his whole bankroll on his boy Nallo this weekend? But we'll get to that in a second, and we'll see if any bias creeps through, or if Kenny does what I do, where he kind of overcorrects the bias. Maybe it's the jujitsu. It's the jujitsu teacher. When you teach the students, you tend to be harder on the ones you love. Kenny, I'm curious on your breakdown. But my breakdown, though, I actually really like Nallo. You would think that maybe I trained with Nallo or something with the way I speak about this guy. And I've spoken because outside of the obvious people in the know, like the Kenny Florians in the world, a lot of us hardcores, a lot of us people in the media, you have been championing Mandel Nallo to get his chance. That's why it was so cool to see him on the Contender Series last year. And one thing I will tie in that I didn't mention about Jazz Vicious that ties perfectly in with this Canadian fighter, Mandel Nallo, is you've got fighters that were 37 in the previous fight with his Jazz. And without looking, I want to say Mandel Nallo is 36. And I just want to say to the audience, this isn't a normal for either of these fighters. 36 versus 37, age versus miles. I know I'm preaching to the choir with you guys here. You guys know the difference. But Mandel Nallo, and as Kenny knows, he's a guy who he wasn't out there, in these lighter divisions, just leaving everything on the canvas, 3 to 4 times a year in and out of the octagon. This guy was really smart about how he took his fights. And you really can kind of see that in his fights. The guy is a real artist. We talk about athletes, or you got this guy fighters, this guy a martial artist. Man, Nallo is just an artist in there, and he's only getting better. And seeing that he is, not just being the stereotypical striker, he's getting these crafty back takes. His veteranship is showing through. I actually really like him in this fight. He is, again, less experienced, older, lesser known guy. So to see him at favorite odds, probably might catch people off guard. We've seen Jai Herbert before. Herbert, who I haven't spoken much about, is a very competitive fighter, really good kickboxer, almost beat Ilya Topuria with a beautiful switch kick. I mean, this guy, you cannot take it away from this guy. He is there to fight. The problem is he's been a lot more tentative, and I think that tentativeness, especially when he's facing somebody with size parity, which Mandel Nala will offer him both in the height and length, we've seen that tentativeness almost exacerbate. And I think that's going to allow the artist in Nalo's operating space. I actually like Nalo in here, and I like him inside the distance.
Ken Flo, you ever train with Nalo?
I did. I remember training with this kid and for the first time, and I was like, man, I had a tough time that round. Well, at least he's, kind of this big welterweight, and someone turns to me, he's like, he's not a welterweight. That dude's a lightweight. I was like, what? Huh? Like I was so impressed with, his talent, his ability to learn very quickly. He's an excellent athlete, reads extremely well, reads the game extremely well, and just a smart kid overall, man. And it's great to see him finally in the UFC, and he's been doing well outside of the UFC for a long time. But I couldn't agree with you more, Dan. I think we're very much aligned on this one, and we were aligned on the last card, I think, in a lot of ways, but I think aligned here yet again. I think Mandel is a major problem for a lot of people. Jai Herbert, yes, he's got a ton of talent, and he's a very speedy, dangerous striker, but I do agree with you, Dan, that I think he's become more tentative over the last few fights because he's kind of had a little bit of an up and down career in the UFC, and a lot of times, you don't let your hands go, especially if you're concerned with being taken down, and I think Nalo can strike with him, and I think Nalo can take him down and have a very easy fight against Jai Herbert. So give me Mandel Nalo.
Nickname used to be Rat Garbage.
Yeah.
Yes. That's awesome.
Ratgarbage.ca.
He's an interesting dude.
You can get his merchandise if that's your thing. Ratgarbage.ca. All right, co-main event, bantamweight division. Kyler Phillips -170. Charles Air Jourdain +142. So been more than 2 years now, Dan, since Kyler Phillips won a fight. He was ranked actually prior to the back-to-back losses to Rob Font, Vinicius Oliveira. Now draws the always dangerous Charles Jourdain. Relatively new division for Jourdain, but he's realized some success here at 135. Who do you love, Dan Tom?
It's crazy, man. I feel like I had somewhat of a beat on Charles Jourdain, but there's these fighters, and you guys have been doing this show, which has had this predictions part for years and years now. So I'm sure you have people on your list, Kenny Florian, when I say this, where there's those fighters where whether you're picking them or picking against them, you just can't seem to get this right. I know Donald Cerrone was a fighter for that for many, just because of his style. He was fighting so often, and then he would just kind of drop one right. And it can be hard to get a beat. Well, everybody named Charles outside of Oliveira is like that for me. Like, I've got a rule, like, you don't bet Charles Johnson fights. It's just a rule, and it'll save you money. No offense to Energy, by the way, shouts to him. But Charles Jourdain is another fighter like that for me, guys. So this might taint this as far as my breakdown and perhaps even the betting or spoiler alert, that lack thereof for this fight. But I don't disagree with who the favorite is. And in fact, if I didn't have such bad history with Charles Jourdain, I actually would think he would be playable for the betting segment coming up here, because not only is that he have the striking and the outside game, this is going to be in the big octagon, folks, right? We're going up to the Canadian market, but it's not the small Apex cage, it's the big octagon. He's going to have room for his footwork, and he is a very flowy fighter. And of course, he's really, working with Fabio Holanda, really working on that jiu-jitsu. He's always had good front chokes. You can see Darces and guillotines early in his career, but now he's got like back-to-back guillotine wins, and that worries me for Kyler Phillips. Kyler Phillips is a guy who is probably more consistent than Charles Jourdain. However, the bad is also consistent with the good, and I guess the bad in broad strokes, and no disrespect to Kyler Phillips, comes from an excellent gym, still somehow underrated despite being around forever. John Crouch, the MMA Lab. I mean, my goodness, that stable they have there. But he does slow down, and that is a fact. And he is only getting older, and moving around that big cage isn't going to get any easier as the rounds go on. And usually his outlet and saving grace for Phillips is he has takedowns for when fighters come in hot or when he needs breaks. Came in very handy against fighters like Song Yadong and whatnot. However, with that guillotine I mentioned, guys, I feel like he's not going to have that safety valve. And for that reason, I will take Charles Jourdain here, probably either round 3 or by decision.
Nicely done, Ken Flo. Charles Jourdain, back-to-back guillotine wins, as Dan mentioned. Victor Henry, Davy Grant, both in Canada, both since moving down to 35, both produce bonuses. He's plus 142 against Kyler this weekend. What do you make of this?
Yeah, Dan, with another great breakdown. I think that Charles Jourdain is one of those guys that's really hard to predict what we're going to see. He's been on this streak where it's like 2 losses, 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 wins. Which guy is going to show up? Now, in this division, I think he definitely is a problem. He seems very committed. He certainly has the talent and the overall skills in all areas. But I do think Kyler Phillips is one of those unorthodox guys that can be tough to get a beat on. Now, we haven't seen him a little while. What Kyler Phillips are we going to see? We don't really know that either. I think that if we see Kyler Phillips at his best, confident, moving well, integrating everything together, I think Kyler wins this fight. Jourdain definitely is dangerous. So it's tough to say with a whole lot of confidence in this one. From a betting perspective, I would probably stay away just because we haven't seen Phillips in a long time, but I am going to go with Kyler Phillips.
All right, now we get to the main event in the welterweight division. Ken Flo is going to lead us off here. Mike Malott in some spots is north of minus 500. For our purposes, Malott minus 380. Gilbert Durinho Burns is plus 300. Malott 6-1 in the UFC. Look alive, Ken Flo. Last 3 wins: Trevin Giles, Charles Radke, Kevin Holland. So last 2 opponents both look pretty good Saturday night. He's whopping minus 380 or higher against Gilbert Burns. I guess the odds makers suggest Kenny Durinho's in the twilight of his career, but this is an absolute dog. He'll be 40 in July. He has lost 4 straight, but all against the highest level of welterweight competition. You'd be wise not to sleep on Gilbert Burns. Ken Flo, who do you like in the main event?
Yeah, Gilbert Burns, of course, has faced, the who's who in that division, has a ton of experience. He also has a lot of skill. I think where he struggles, though, and where he has always struggled is with his footwork, putting it all together and kind of looking fluid and not being so tense. I always feel like we see this Gilbert Burns, who's always kind of under a lot of stress when he fights. So I want to see him more relaxed. And when he's out there to have a good time and he lets it flow, and maybe when he doesn't feel this level of pressure, I think that's oftentimes when we see the best Gilbert Burns, like his fight against Khamzat Chimaev, where everyone was kind of writing him off. And he went out there and had a great performance. Yes, he lost, but it was against Khamzat Chimaev. And it was a close one. He's going against a guy in Mike Malott who can get reckless and defensively sometimes makes mistakes. So Gilbert Burns, we know that he's got the power to knock people out. But I think Mike is the better athlete overall. I think he's going to be able to use his size, his strength in a lot of ways. I think he'll be able to thwart a lot of the takedown attempts against Gilbert Burns. However, if Mike Malott does end up on his back against Burns with Burns on top, Burns is going to be a problem with his ground and pound, with his positioning, with his submission game. So Mike's going to have to be on his game. But we know Mike's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. He's a good black belt, and he knows how to put it all together. And I think that his last few fights, he's been fighting smarter. He's been putting it together. He looks more comfortable himself. He's not fighting with as much stress and pressure, I think. What is he going to do in this spot in the main event in his home country? We will find out, but I do like Mike Malott here. I like him a lot, but I don't know about the odds. I do think there's some value here with Gilbert Burns, but I'm not going to pick against Mike Malott in this spot. So give me Malott.
Malott minus 380, Gilbert Burns plus 300. Dan, Tom, the floor is yours.
If it makes you feel any better, guys, even the Asian dude from Hawaii, like every time I hear Mike Malott, even I want to go in a Boston accent. Like, oh, Mike Malott, did he play the college hockey there? Oh, Mike Malott, he played college hockey. Didn't he go college hockey there? Maybe it's the hockey, association, but I just picture some old New England aunt, just raving about Mike Malott here, right? You guys can hear it too, right?
Yep.
That's funny. But no, in all seriousness, how do you not like Mike Malott, right? He's just hearing him talk. He's such a good Canadian boy, as they say. Hard not to be a fan of that dude. And as a fighter, I'm a big fan of, the thinkers out there, right? That was a surprise seeing, Ken Flo in the first tough season. Like, this guy's not like a normal fighter. Like, he actually seems wicked smart in there, and Malott has some of that too. However, there is, and I don't know if this is a harsh word, just being honest as an analyst, that, he's got good kicks. He's got good counters, which, by the way, checking jabs and counter crosses, the common culprit for Durinho Burns. Obviously, he's got good transitions on the back, good front chokes, right? Like, it's like he has all the tools, but there's still a little bit of disjointedness, not jankiness, but there's still a little bit of disjointedness. He has the tools when he needs them for the most part. But as far as putting together the big P word, a process or an RP, reliable process, which is what I like to see fighters swimming in the direction toward, especially at this stage of their career, I don't feel like I've quite seen that yet. And this is going to be a fight where he might need that. Say what you will about Durinho Burns being up at welterweight on a 4-fight losing streak. This guy, Kenny said something in his breakdown too, which I think was very relevant, considering, shout out to Anthony Smith. We just saw what a veteran who looked really tight and almost, and I love Anthony Smith, right? But it was hard to watch his last fights in the UFC. It felt like, okay, this is what a done fighter looks like, right? As they say, I don't want to use the W word. And when you talk about that tension that Kenny was describing, when they don't have that, it sounds like woo-woo, that they can rewind the clock. It's like, well, not literally. No one can beat Father Time, but there is something to that. And it makes me curious after seeing kind of Anthony Smith kind of like show a more looser version of himself. Like, does Durinho have that looser version that Kenny said? Because it's troubling when you look at Durinho's record, guys. And again, I don't want to be cruel here to Durinho or his record, but something really interesting when you go back all the way down his welterweight record, he is still yet to beat a fighter in their athletic prime, right? And there's some really great names on there, so I don't want to be disrespectful, but if we're objectively zooming out, as our guy Johnny the Greek says, none of those wins were in the athletic prime, and coincidentally, those losses were guys in their prime, right? And I would argue that's where Mike Malott is, whether I think he's disjointed or not. So he's the clear favorite. This is one of those spots where I go, oh, it's dog or pass from a betting perspective, and give me the favorite, and that's fine. Picks, plays, and analysis are 3 different things. But you know what, folks? I'm going to, as John Anik so bravely said on the UFC broadcast, I'm going to put my testicles on the table here and give me Durinho. Give me Durinho Burns here. I'll take the dog flyer for the dog to rise.
Nicely done. I did say that, I guess, in a wayward moment. So Dan and Kenny, there's only one thing I've criticized Mike Malott for. And recently, the great British journalist Gareth A. Davis asked John Jones, are you a bad guy trying to be good or a good guy trying to be bad? And oftentimes I ask myself, am I a bad guy? I don't think I'm not. But if I see Mike Malott one more time get on a hot mic and say, this has been my dream since I was a kid growing up in Canadian waters since I was 12. I mean, we've heard it after all 6 of his UFC wins, all on Canadian soil, right?
That's true. That's true.
Thankfully he didn't get Chuck Buffaloed because the Americans would have been coming. But we do have a little StreamYard poll going on. Who you got? Gilbert Burns, 60%. Well, wow. We'll see. All right,
John. He keeps getting the Canadian gigs, though. John, you gotta credit.
He does. He does. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you each have $1,000 to spend. I'm quickly going to update the results from UFC 377. A productive week for both Kenny Florian and Yanni the Greek. So Ken Flo went 4-2 on his 6 straight wagers, and you hit your big bets for the most part. Tatiana Suarez, Cub Swanson, plus $984 and change for the week. It puts you to plus $178.97 for the year. Yanni the Greek was plus $759 as we show you Kenny's results right there. So Ken Flo is back in the black for the year. Yanni the Greek made $759. His return on investment, right, Kenny? That's what ROI stands for.
Yeah.
25.3%. So, yes, we are trying to sign Yanni the Greek to join us for some future numbered cards as well. But Dan Tom giving him a hell of a push right now. Dan Tom, you got $1,000 to spend. UFC Fight Night. Burns versus Malott. How are you allocating your hard-earned dollars?
Yanni the Greek's a great guy, by the way, folks. And if we're getting more of anybody, him is fine, as well as more RJ Clifford. Love that he's on here. But for my $1,000, John, yes. Let me ask you. So I want to be I never heard anybody give a points handicap prop. Am I allowed to be a cheeky hipster and give a points prop out?
Of course.
Okay. Now, I won't be a complete jerk and do round robin and make your producer do the math and all that kind of jazz. Or if it's you yourself that does it, John, I'm not going to push that on you guys.
I used to.
All right. Well, here's my slate. Okay. I'm going to start off with we'll start off with the most chalkiest and heavy plays, and we're going to go down. 2-leg parlay to start, the only parlay on here. Give me Nascimento. He's fighting earlier on in the card. And give me the Jasmine Jasdavicius and Karine Silva over 2.5 rounds.
Okay.
A dangerous fight more dangerous than the odds to pick, but I do like that over. That's basically even money. Let's go $300 on that. $300 on that. Now we're going to go to a single shot play favorite. Mandel Nalo just at -180. Give me another $300 just on Mandel Nalo alone. That'll be $600. Now we got JJ Aldridge. She's a nice underdog, and maybe I should be putting my testicles on the table to hit her and play her outright, folks, especially considering her opponent's last 2 losses come to UFC Southpaws. But yeah, give me JJ Aldridge, 3.5 points. It's not out yet. I don't think it'll be too much of a plus money, but if it is a minus money, it'll be more than playable minus. So $150 for JJ Aldridge minus 3.5 points. Next one are just 2 dog plays. Thiago Moises plus 112. He opened as the favorite. Now public money is pushed into the dog. When it does that, you don't owe anybody an explanation, folks. The value there is on the dog. And even though I actually am a bigger fan of his opponent, Gage Young, that's not how we bet, right? We can't bet with our hearts here. So give me Thiago Moises plus 112, 150. That leaves me 100 left, John. And I'll, again, testicles on the table, Duhinho. Give me Gilbert Burns. Just even 100 plus 300 or better. I'll take it.
Yeah. Plus 300 right now, but moving around a little bit. All right. Nicely done, my man. Ken Flo, $1,000 to spend. The floor is yours, my man.
I'm a little concerned because I think Dan Tom has maybe hacked into my brain somehow in the last couple of weeks. Like he's actually kind of scaring me. So, or maybe he just knows me. He knows me so well. I'm going to put 1,000 on Mandel Nalo. So, yeah.
How about that?
Wow, that is beautiful. That is
not
beautiful.
messing around. Neither is Dan Tom. Outstanding work, my man. Appreciate it very much. And you can be sure we will not make you a stranger to this audience, buddy. Have a great day and a better evening. Thank you, sir.
Great work. Time. You guys too have a great week, guys. Great seeing you.
There he is. Outstanding mixed martial arts analyst, Dan Tom. If you ever hear me say UFC level Southpaws, I get my information from him. And yes, we'll shout him out by name next time on the broadcast, to be sure. This has been my dream since I was 12 years old in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Oh, man.
All right, we got to get on out of here. Thank you to Kevin Holland, Cub Swanson, our live producer, Cody Merrow, Nathan Bronson behind the scenes as well, Jason Anik putting it all together. We're going to be back with you. Oh, thanks to Ray Longo as well. And our fine sponsors. Especially Throne Sport Coffee. Sorry for cussing in the middle of your spot. We are back with you next Monday as we continue to recap all that's going on. We will lean a little bit more into UFC Freedom 250 and some of those betting lines next week, but I hope everybody has a phenomenal rest of your Monday. Thanks for watching live and subscribing to the Anik and Florian podcast. We appreciate the heck out of that. We'll talk to you real soon. Until then, see you later.